Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and I'm a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write and I talk about movies. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. Yay!
Woo woo!
And my name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and my pronouns are he, him.
Well, folks, today we have movies like we always do. But before we dive into the movies we're going to be covering this week, we want to tell you about our Patreon. If you're not a member of Patreon, for $5 a month, you get access to bonus episodes weekly, and you get to vote in monthly polls. And for this week's bonus episode, we did our poll winner for Noirvember, and the winner was In the Cut, Jane Campion's neo-noir starring Meg Ryan and Mark Ruffalo. We had a lot of varied opinions on it. It's a great conversation. So if you're a patron, go check it out. And if you're not a patron, consider joining.
Yes, please do.
I could feel your pause in the air. I knew you were going to say something. No. That was a good thing. I liked it. So this week, we have two films. We're going to be talking about Enola Holmes 2, the sequel to Enola Holmes, and The Good Nurse. So that's what we're going to start things off with. The Good Nurse, starring Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne. And let me read the description for you that's on Netflix. An overburdened ICU nurse leans on her selfless new colleague at work and at home until a patient's unexpected death casts him in a suspicious light. So the other thing that's interesting about this, and we were talking about this a little bit off mic, and I'm sure, Dave, you'll be talking about it again. This is directed by Tobias Lindholm, and the screenplay is by Christy Wilson Cairns. Not Kearns, not like my name. And it's based on the book, The Good Nurse, a true story of medicine, madness, and murder by Charles Graeber. And this is based on a real case. And Dave, why don't you share what you had said with us?
Okay. So this is not me guessing the end of the movie because it's a true story anyway. But I'm watching this movie and it's like, oh, nurse, and he's a serial killer. Huh, why do I know this? And I realized when we did Zodiac, I was just kind of I was falling down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. It's like, oh, I'll read about, the Night Strangler, and I'll read about Son of Sam, and like, who's this nurse who killed everybody? So I had just read about who this guy is, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I know how it's going to end, unless they change unless they, really, really change how things went down, which they do not. But anyway, it does make you wonder, and the movie brings this up, of course, how somebody could get away with killing at least 29, maybe up to 40 ICU patients.
They said
400?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought it was 40.
Yeah.
I know he was convicted of killing. Well, they know it's 29. He was convicted of consecutive sentences, which, sorry, it's not concurrent there, pal. But anyway, yeah. So The Good Nurse. That's my anecdote.
So, what did you guys think of the movie?
I thought it was pretty solid, but it didn't knock my socks off. It was kind of like, I always love Jessica Chastain, and I think she's great. I think she's great in this. I don't always love Eddie Redmayne. I actually think he's great in this. I do think he is.
This is a role for him. Yeah.
Creepy, but I think that's also helps with the character itself. As a character, he's very subdued. He's very like even keel most of the time, and our introduction to him is just so utterly disturbing. The opening scene of the film is that there's a patient and they're going into cardiac arrest, and he goes into the room, and then we see him standing off to the side, just kind of looking on very clinically while they're desperately trying to save this patient. And this is 1996, so I guess they're trying to say this is the first person that he killed, or one of the first people that he killed. And I just thought that whole opening scene was just so eerie, the way it's shot.
That was eerie.
Standing outside the room looking in, and it's kind of cast in a shadow. So I think the performances in this are really strong. I feel like it just kind of plugs along for a while. I wish it really it mentions it, but I wish it hammered home more this idea that the hospitals sat back and literally did nothing to stop this and a bunch of shit to cover this up. I think that's honestly a more interesting story than some of the pieces where we're focused on like the personal lives of the characters. Or the patients. I mean, the patients, that adds to the compelling nature of the fact that he's killing them. So we need to get to know them a little bit. But I feel like underneath here was also potentially a separate movie that could have been an interesting police procedural where they're going to all these hospitals and getting stonewalled, which we only see it a little bit in the movie of. It also feels like the cops do relatively little here. They do relatively little work and have this woman do all of their like research and get the killer to confess, basically. So good job, police, on doing relatively little and getting a civilian to do all your work for you.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there because, you know, you can, who knows how much you can trust Wikipedia, but I feel like it kind of goes down in the movie how it went down for real. Like the cops were kind of like, we know he did it, but the hospitals won't cooperate with us. And you know, I don't know if they convinced her in real life or if she came forward. I don't know how it happened. I don't remember. But they did, you know, when the confession scene, I was like, she really did. I read that again. I'm like, she did get him to confess for real. And he just did it. And it's like, okay. Right there in front of with the police in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is just, I mean, is unreal. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you how I felt about this. If you were you?
Please do.
Yeah, I kind of felt like this is a really good TV movie. It feels like it's so bizarre. It feels like the kind of TV movies that you used to watch in the 80s because I'm of that age, and like even down to the way that. Kind of how you were talking about, Evan, you wanted to see more of like the hospital behind the scenes cover up kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like they miscovered that kind of stuff the same way they miscover it here. It's like, I think the only thing that really differentiates this is that you have two genuine movie stars as the leads, you know? So, well, I don't know if we're going to call Eddie Redmayne a movie star. He's won awards, but
yeah, I mean, he's headlined movies.
Yeah.
So,
but here's my question, and I'm sure there are people out there. How many people go to a movie because they're like, "Oh, Eddie Redmayne"? I mean, I don't know.
No, that's a fair question.
It didn't save Jupiter Ascending, is all I'm saying. So,
yes, I love him in Jupiter Ascending, and I do not love him, but that's a great performance. But to your point, Evan, about that he's great in this role, I think he needs to lean into his weirdness. Because he's great in Jupiter Ascending, and he's great here. Like that scene where he yanks he slams his hand on the table when they're at the diner. Mm-hmm. It is chilling. And then when he's screaming at the detectives that he can't. Wow, that was so good and so intense. Yes, it was great.
I think because he's so reined in the rest of the time, he can be so quietly creepy so that when he has those outbursts, it's that much stronger. Because I'm glad you mentioned both those scenes because those for me like ratcheted up the tension immensely. Like, oh my God, this guy really is scary. Like he's quietly murdering people, but he can be very intense and scary.
Right. Yeah, my first clue was when he started talking about his ex, and he's like, "Oh, she's crazy," and I was like, "Oh, red flag, because I didn't know this was based on a true story when I started watching it. Like I knew like about halfway through, but yeah, I'm like, "Oh, red flag." I'm like, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then he was like in passing, he's like, I don't know, she thinks I like hate her dog or something, or I
well, then he says later that like she thinks I poisoned the dog.
Yeah, later he says, later he says she thinks I poisoned the dog, but also to me that was another red flag. Like, okay, he's got some issue with animals now too.
Absolutely.
Well, she was right. I'm sure he poisoned the fucking dog, but
I 100% believe that because if you're and if you'll harm animals, you'll harm people.
Aside from the performances of the two movie stars being very good, I also just want to say it was really nice to see Noah Emmerich. It's like, where the fuck has he been?
He's been in things. He was busy on The Americans for a while.
But you remember how like in
Yes.
the 90s, he was in like every movie in a character role? Like from like 1992 to 2002, he was in like 7 movies a year. It felt like.
I just saw him in Miracle.
Yeah. So, like the Truman Show, he was all over that fucking trailer. Like the last thing I would do is lie to you. Anyway. So okay, I can't even remember what I was going to say. The 2 movie star performers. Oh, yeah. Another thing that this movie did pretty well. Well, they didn't hide the ball very well with the fact. I mean, they do open up. It does open up with him passively watching, the doctors and nurses trying to save this patient that he's apparently, injected Dejoxys or whatever the drug is called and insulin into the saline bag, which I'm kind of surprised that nobody figured that. Well, they did figure it out, I guess, if that's this is why I think you're right, Evan. We need to know more of what the hospitals knew. But also when he says right after he starts working at the hospital with Jessica Chastain, he tells her how there's like a glitch in the
Pyxis,
right? The medicine system that like, counts what you take out. It's like if you cancel it before, it'll say that it's canceled, but you can still take it and it won't register. I was like, why are you telling her that? And well, it's because the screenplay demands. But also, one thing this movie did well was I just kept thinking, the pills he's giving her, the dinner he's made for her family, has he done something to that stuff?
Yep.
Because, it does create an element of distrust of him that he could be doing stuff to poison them.
Yeah. Which he's not. I mean, the thing that's crazy is I think that he genuinely cares for Jessica Chastain and her daughters, which is a weird thing to say about a serial killer. But,
everybody has a code, or some people have a code.
Yeah. Well, I think he's replaced, his family with them,
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But I think of like Hannibal Lecter when, when her friend, Clarice's friend is like, aren't you worried? And she's like, no, he won't come for me. That'd be rude.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right.
Liken it to that.
Yeah.
I think another thing.
Oh, yes, please.
I was going to say another thing that ratcheted up the tension was the fact that Jessica Chastain's character has the heart condition we find out early in the movie. And like the fact that her heart is in such a tenuous position where like she doesn't have health insurance, so she can't take like a leave and she has to make it through this like 4 months of employment. And so we see her get
fucking crazy.
I know this country's fucking horrible.
Hear, hear.
And so we see her like lifting patients and getting out of breath. And then I almost had a heart attack when she like immediately realized what was going on and like ran into the hospital to check all the bags. And she's like running up. I'm like, girl, go to the cops. You literally just had your friend tell you what was going on. Take her to the cops, get a confession, then go in there. Don't just run in there yourself.
Yeah.
Get out of breath and pass out.
Or just, take the elevator. I mean,
that too. I'm actually so glad that you mentioned the cops, Evan, because that you reminded me of something that I wanted to say, which is something that I think is possibly an issue with the movie, but actually worked for me. When you guys are talking about like how, there's not a lot of police procedural and the cops didn't really do anything. And, Jessica Chastain's character is really doing everything. I actually really liked that because there's a lot of propaganda on TV and in cinemas. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of ineptitude in police departments and in the quote unquote criminal justice system. And yeah, cops aren't always the saviors. They don't always save the day. And a lot of times people don't feel comfortable going to police. So actually, in a way, I was very glad that they really relied so heavily on her. And I agree with you, Evan, that a facet of the film that I found really fascinating was the hospital cover up. I think that is a really fascinating component of this film. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, but I was okay with what they had. And Kim Dickens was great.
She was great. I would have liked to see more of her like tearing her hair out over that,
Me too, because I love Kim Dickens. I've always been a fan of hers. And and I agree. She was really great and uncomfortable in this role. And
I just
so uncomfortable.
Well, I think that she really towed the line between, and you could see it on her face. She's a company man, but she's genuinely repulsed and frightened by this guy.
Yes.
But she's still got to be, the face of risk management,
Mm-hmm.
And as a nurse, she knows exactly, and I've forgotten that her character had been a nurse. And when Jessica Chastain mentions that, I'm like, oh, that's right. She knows exactly how he could have done it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, that scene where she's firing him.
Yep.
Oh, it was just, I was getting like, so uncomfortable. It was so good. Yeah. Yeah. So
that was also a good example of what corporations do if they really want to fire you, how they will find any way to.
Yes.
Oh, you said you worked there from June to whatever, but you actually worked there from May. So that's
so we have to let you go.
That violates your contract. So wait, I worked there a month longer and that gets me in trouble? Okay.
Right. Yeah. No, this film is a really interesting condemnation of corporatism, of the healthcare system and how it's failing people. Yeah, I think it's really good. But I do think that this film really hinges on Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne's performances, which I'm very surprised since I don't normally like him as an actor. But here it works, and he's really great in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, Eddie.
I was realizing the other thing. Oh, Eddie. One thing that bothered me coming back to the cops, and it's a very quick scene. It's a brief moment, but it made me wildly uncomfortable, was when Nnamdi Asomugha, one of the detectives, when he screams at Kim Dickens to sit down. And it bothered me, not because it was a man yelling at a woman, but I'm like, ooh, I'm like, are we really going the like angry black man route? Like it just, it didn't sit well with me.
I just thought it wasn't a very good scene.
Well, there's that too.
Well, I also just thought it was a weird character move for him to get in her face and scream at her to sit down and then not actually continue pressing her and questioning her when it was clear that he was just furious at her dodging questions and obfuscating the truth. And like, I understand that. Like, you're trying to get to the bottom of this. You're trying to get justice for people. And you have someone who is knowingly trying to dodge your questions and use tactics to like obscure evidence when that's
right.
Like literally the agreement is that you should be producing the evidence and like not trying to withhold it. So I get why he got angry and why he screamed at her. I just thought it was very strange that he screamed at her. She sat down and he was like, okay, bye now. Like, what? Well, such a strange scene.
And also that he would do it in her office. That seemed out of character for him. The way the rest of his character is written.
Yeah, it's not like she was at the police station. That would have made a bit more sense. Like, yeah, I think I think it's all. I think you're all right. I think it's weird.
Yeah, it was a strange thing. One thing I wanted to ask both of you about is how you felt about the cinematography in this movie.
So
a lot of shadows.
Yeah, it's a
very
choice.
Dark. It's a very dark movie. A very dark, shadowy movie.
Yes, with lots of reflections.
Mm-hmm. Lots of reflections. Now that you mention it, I'm cycling through everything.
Many reflections. Yeah, which I think it has to do with kind of his split persona, as it were. Like he's such a good, caring friend, to her, but he's leading this double life of serial killing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those serial killers.
Yeah, so I think the cinematography, while I didn't personally love it stylistically, I think it's effective in what it's trying to do, storytelling wise and thematically.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I personally didn't enjoy it. I understood what it was going for with this like very dark kind of like, it's the darkness of like the characters and what they're going through and the darkness of like the American like medical system and like, but to me, I'm just like, realistically, you're in a hospital, you're going to have a certain amount of light, and it just doesn't seem realistic to me to be this dark. Like in a hospital, it's all brightly lit. It doesn't have to be like so oversaturating the characters that they're like, all look, ghost white, but it just feels, it just doesn't feel right to me for it to be so dark in all of these hospitals. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's a fair point.
It is the night shift though, and the patient's got to sleep. So,
I mean, even at night, it's not that dark in a hospital.
That's true. But there's always like, if you've ever had long hospital stays or visited somebody who's having a hospital stay, there's always like, because everything closes down, there are fewer emergencies at night than there are during the day. I don't know why you think it would be the other way around, but anyway.
Right?
But there's always some part of wherever you are that's like dark over there, so.
Like a random hallway or something.
Yeah.
The light. That does happen, or like the motion sensor lights are on. So it's like no one goes over there and they just turn off after a while.
Yeah. But to your point, I'm just nitpicking. I mean, you're right, though. That hospital is the darkest fucking hospital I've ever seen.
It really is.
Like, look, I know the budget's tight at this hospital, but they usually need light to do things.
Well, they were having to cut back on what is it, coffee filters? The accountant or whatever, the office manager says to Jessica Chastain.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't understand why she was getting on, Jessica Chastain's case about letting the guy spend the night. Like, I know hospitals have those rules of like, oh no, the family can't stay at night. But it's like, sometimes I've been in that position. I'm like, screw you, I'm staying and I don't care.
They don't kick you out.
But it's not like costing the hospital anything extra. Like, there's already a chair in the room. You're just sleeping in the chair. You know what I mean? Like, there's not anything extra needed. So it was just weird that she was on her case about that in a budget conversation context.
I don't know. I could kind of see it. I could see.
Yeah, I could go.
We can't
either
make an
way.
exception for this person, so then we'll have to be making exceptions left and right. But you are right, Evan. I hear you. I think they were just trying to hammer home the fact of like the tight grip.
Yeah,
the budget cuts had.
Yep. Bureaucracy sucks.
Yes, indeed. But do you guys have any final thoughts?
Nope. I'm all talked out on The Good Nurse.
How about you, Evan?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Enola Holmes 2. The sequel stars, of course, Millie Bobby Brown reprising her role, Henry Cavill, and Helena Bonham Carter. It is written by Jack Thorne, an adaptation of the Enola Holmes mysteries, books by Nancy Springer, and this is directed by Harry Bradbeer. And let me give you the synopsis from Netflix. Enola takes on her first official case as a detective, but to solve the mystery of a missing girl, she'll need help from friends and Brother Sherlock.
Who has a much larger part in this movie than he did the first one.
Sure does.
He's like a genuine character in this movie.
Yes, he is. So basically the case, just to flesh it out a little bit more, is about a girl who's looking for her sister. They're not biologically related, but it doesn't matter. They still are family. And Enola is looking for her. And this leads her down the path of this matchstick factory where a lot of girls work, and she poses as a factory worker and is trying to infiltrate. And the missing older sister stole some papers from the office. And then meanwhile, Sherlock is also looking for a thief, and whoa, their cases are converging because there's a lot of overlap. And Enola gets arrested. She gets sent to prison. She breaks out of jail with the help of her mom.
Yep.
And and she reunites with, I don't know why I can't think of his name, but the guy from the first movie who was her friend. Tewksbury, thank you. Who's a nincompoop. Because I just love that word.
That's right. She keeps calling him that.
Yes.
But in her mind, an adorable nincompoop.
Exactly. But yes, she reunites with Tewksbury from the first film, and they have romantic feelings for each other. But she's like, no, I'm a detective. I have to focus on work. So yeah, those are the broad strokes. There's a lot more that happens. Oh, she also clashes with David Thewlis, who is the head detective.
Man, he plays a creep well.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
We also get the emergence of Moriarty, Sherlock's longtime nemesis in the Sherlock stories. There's a lot that's happening in this. There's mystery, there's murder mystery, there's corruption and conspiracy. We have romance, we have brother and sisterly relationship, we have a whole bunch of stuff. We have a feminist movement because, as it turns out, it's all about how the matchstick factory is covering up the deaths of girls, and Sarah Chapman is the one who, in real life, led this strike.
Real person.
Exactly. So we have got a lot going on. Okay, so guys, what did you think of this movie?
Oh, I thought it was kind of a hoot.
Yay!
I mean, I think there's some stuff about it that just doesn't work at all, like a lot of the action scenes. But well, I think part of the problem is Millie Bobby Brown's stunt double is like 8 inches taller than she is, and it sometimes almost looks like a professional athlete, you know. So like it's the one that I notice it the most is when she falls off the roof. It's like so clearly not her when she's falling off the roof, and then they cut to the shot where she lands on the ground, and it looks like she did take a fall there, but at the same time it's like and it's like this happens in movies all the time. But I don't know, overall I thought it was a lot of fun. This is becoming a recurring theme where I know how things are going to end. Can't fucking believe this. I took a class in college on on unions. And so they tell this, you read about this story because it's like it says at the end of the movie, it's the first time that women banded together to strike for, whatever. So I knew at first, I'm like, oh, her name's Sarah Chapman. Isn't that interesting that it's the same? I was such an idiot. Isn't it the same? She's got the same name as like this. Yeah. And they're like, oh, it is her. Oh, okay. So, anyway, but I think Millie Bobby Brown is just delightful. I think that Henry Cavill, though I think he is highly variable as a performer, I think he really does well in this part. I think that Moriarty it was good or is good. I'm sure if they make an Enola Holmes 3, what an imaginative title, by the way, Enola Holmes 2. Like, when was the last time you had a sequel that had a number in it? Because I'm used to like Marvel movies now being like Winter Soldier, Civil War, Far From Home. And this one's just like Enola Holmes 2. So, okay.
We need some, most sequels are like, we need colons and M dashes here.
Yeah, exactly.
Enola Holmes is like, we're not dealing with any of that.
Yeah. And I just think that this, the returning characters, everybody's more comfortable in their roles. And so they're a little, I mean, not that they were bad in the last movie, but they're a little better this time. They're more comfortable in the characters' skins. And, it's just, you take it for what it is. It's a lot of running around and jumping and climbing trees and phosphorus, that could kill you. And, what's his face getting his throat cut, which I was surprised, like, oh my God, they cut his fucking throat. What is this movie? Oh, I guess this is the second movie I'm seeing this week where this is happening. So, I don't really have too much to say about it, except, Millie Bobby Brown is, she's got the goods, man. So, I've never seen Stranger Things, which I know at least one of you has been like, you've never seen Stranger Things? But I have not. And so this is the only thing I've ever seen her in, I think. And she's very good. So
she's great in Stranger Things too.
Yeah. I also like that they did introduce Watson in this movie, even if he's only on screen for 18 seconds. So he's not
nice. White. He's a person of color. I love
it. Right. I do like how you have lots of actors of color in these roles that are traditionally for white people. Oh, and there's a Moriarty, if you've read the Sherlock Holmes stories, is a dude, and I just like that there's a woman of color, and she says, "Well, I'm smarter than you guys, so like fuck this shit." And she breaks out of prison, which Moriarty does in the stories countless times. And I like, though, that like they change a lot of things, and it's just like, this is just how this is. There's no mention of it. It's just like, this is what we're doing now because we're making movies in 2022, and there were lots of people of color in London in 1897 or whenever this is anyway. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So, and I also liked the romance, as buttoned up as it was. It was very sweet. And I think appropriately innocent for, 2 17-year-olds. So, well, I guess Tewksbury's probably older if he's in the fucking House of Lords, but still. maybe they're, 20 and 18. I mean, I don't know. And it being the 19th century, they're probably both still close. They're probably both close to death. So they better start, like getting more serious, because life expectancy was like 52. So,
Ooh, that is sad and true.
Yeah.
So, Evan, what did you think?
Oh, I also really enjoyed this. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first one. I think the first one had a briskness to it that I felt like was absent in this one. It wasn't as briskly paced. It didn't hold my attention in the same way that the first one did, which felt very fast paced and really interesting and fun. And this was a little less interesting. I found the plot, the mystery, more interesting, even though I remember thinking as soon as that what's her name, the character, was it Cecily, showed up, I'm like, well, yes. That's Sarah. She's got red hair. She's showing up way too often and talking to Enola. I was like, that's clearly just Sarah hiding in plain sight. So it was just funny that that's actually what it turned out to be.
Am I the goof that I didn't even put two and two together?
You know what's funny is I thought to myself, so Evan figured it out this time, but I was just like, hey, there's Cecily again. I'm like, it did not occur to me. Yeah. It's like, what a dope. I'm just sitting here. Oh, there she is. Oh, it's nice to see her.
Hi, Cecily. You're so nice.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm not normally I'm not often watching movies like trying to deduce what's happening, but I just saw her pop up a few times. I'm like, that'd be a really good idea hiding in plain sight like that, just pretending you're some like aristocrat, and then you're like in those circles, and then they can't get you if they don't know who you are. So
yeah.
Totally.
But I still enjoyed this. It was fun. It opens with a very tense chase scene, and so it did hook me immediately in that way. I liked the action scenes, but I felt like they were a little spaced out, like few and far between. So when we were like getting the like carriage chases with explosions and stuff, I was like, wow, I feel like it's been a while since we've had our last action scene.
That was also that one was one of the tough ones for me, because I'm like, all right, we're outside, we're in this beautiful forest, we got carriages chasing each other, and then we're inside the carriage on a sound stage, and the carriage isn't moving in the same way that it does when we're in the exterior shots. And I was just like that's what I meant when I was talking about the action scenes were a little lackluster. And also in that same scene at the end of it, when they're doing fisticuffs, as we would say in the olden days. And they're doing the overhead shot. They're doing the overhead shot above the trees. There's a bunch of them that are obscured by the fucking branches. It's like, come on, man. Which I think was a choice, but I just was like, eh.
I enjoyed that fight scene. I liked seeing the women beat the shit out of the men. That was fun.
Yeah.
That is always fun.
I'm glad that I got to use the word fisticuffs.
Me too. It's one of my faves. I love it. Yep. Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, considering talking about how, Evan, you were saying the first one was more briskly paced, and we're talking about the cinematography, Dave, you mentioned it, and being obscured. Because it's interesting that the above the line crew all came back. It's the same director, same screenwriter, same cinematographer, same editor. So it's kind of interesting that there are those differences. And I do wonder if it's because this particular film was not adapted straight from one of the books. I'm wondering if because it's the incorporation. Yeah, I read that. I have not read them, so I did not know that. But yeah, it's because it's an incorporation of the Sarah Chapman real case. I'm wondering if that's why it's maybe feels a little different. I don't know. But like you two, I loved this. I thought this is like the first one. Thought this was adorable. You are so right, Dave. Millie Bobby Brown is delightful. So much charisma. I love Henry Cavill in this role as Sherlock. I like him anyway. I know. I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people he's very hit or miss, mostly miss. But no, I like him. And I don't know, maybe because I have low expectations for him. So it's not like I'm like, oh, he's the best. But no, I do. I enjoy him. I know that's probably a weird thing to say.
No,
but I do.
I don't think it's weird.
Well, thank you. But I do. I enjoy him. And I especially enjoy him in this role because it seems like he's having a lot of fun. And I've read a few things about how he and Millie Bobby Brown have a really close friendship from filming on this film and the first film. And I think that's very obvious that they're just very comfortable around each other. And I think that speaks to your point, Dave, that when you're talking about how everybody's a little more into their role, like they're more comfortable because they've done it before, they're doing it again. And I think everybody's comfortable with a lot of the same crew and same cast. And I think that comes across. But yeah, much like when we talked about Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel, and much like the oh my God, I'm totally spacing on his name. The Agatha Christie movies like Death on the Nile.
The Kenneth Branagh movies.
Kenneth Branagh, thank you. I totally could not think of his name. Yes, much like those, I just want more of these. Just crank them out. Just keep doing them. I would love that because I just think that they're a lot of fun and they're fluffy and cozy, and I'm just here for it.
Yeah. They're fluffy, to use your word. They're not very demanding, and they're entertaining as hell. You know?
Yes.
The second Agatha Christie adaptation was, I think, vastly inferior to the first, but it was still Kenneth Branagh in that role is great, you know? So whenever he's on screen, it's rather magnetic. And so the lightness, I don't even give a shit about figuring out who did it. I just want to watch these people like do their thing, you know?
Right? I just want to watch them hang out and have tea or, fight some more bad guys. I don't even care. The mystery is fun and that adds a lively element to it, seeing how it all pieces together. But I don't even care what they're doing. It's just, I just want to be around these characters. It's just fun.
Yeah. I think the commonality between these is that in each one, you have a very memorable character / performance at the center. I think that's why it's so much fun to watch. Like Kenneth Branagh playing Poirot, like he's just having a fun ass time playing that character, and like Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc and Millie Bobby Brown as Enola. Like they're just clearly having so much fun playing the character and being on this ride, and so it makes you want to go on the ride with them. I agree with you, Dave, that everyone feels more comfortable in their role, but I think what makes this work for Henry Cavill, who can be very like hit or miss, is that I think there's like an awkwardness and a kind of stiffness to this version of Sherlock that I think he plays well against, because I feel like he's normally like a little bit stiff in things, and sometimes that works to his advantage like it does here, and other times you're like, I feel like I'm getting kind of like a bored here. I can deal with someone maybe a little more flexible.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Yeah, I've always just thought that his Superman is, I just don't think he's, first of all, those movies are shit, but also I don't think he's very good as Clark Kent or as Superman. So, like, it doesn't help.
Like him.
It doesn't help that those movies are torturous for me. So, yeah, I don't really know if I ever thought of him in those terms, but yeah, I like the way that you described that. And Holmes is an awkward character. He's the only person he's truly comfortable around is Watson, and even then, he's kind of like, dude, Watson, you fucking give me some space. You know?
You mean I can't just stay up all night and do drugs, Watson? Yeah. I shouldn't do that? I should sleep sometimes?
That's crazy. It's a 7% solution. What the hell's wrong with you? Anyway.
Other than I've said this before and I'll say it again, I do like Henry Cavill as Clark Kent and Superman, and I like Man of Steel for some weird reason. Actually, I know why. Anyway.
That's the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I do like that one, although it falls apart at the end. But I agree. And I think that's a really great observation, Evan. And I completely agree with you as to why his performance works so well, why it fuses so well with Sherlock, who is a really interesting character and very complicated. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Do we have any final thoughts on Enola Holmes 2?
I liked the whole piece about communicating via fans. I thought that was an interesting
piece
in the film. You could say so much with the flap of a fan.
Yeah. I like how she accidentally called that guy over.
And then how Enola insulted him.
And what he says to her is like, there's no need to be rude or whatever.
Rude.
He says. Yeah.
Exactly. I know, it's cute. I know, it's funny, and it makes me wonder if that was actually a thing, because it reminds me of, like, in queer culture, there's the whole bandana in the back pocket, and like which pocket it's in and which color the bandana is like coding for what you're looking for and what you're into. So yeah, so I'm like, ooh, I wonder if the fans were a thing.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if they were, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they were not.
Correct. Right. I could totally see them inserting that, but I could also see them completely making it up just for fun.
Yeah.
Just plot wise. But Dave, did you have any final thoughts?
No, this is just a nice, cozy, I mean, it's an action movie, but it's a nice, cozy movie, So get yourself some, I don't want to say get some tea and crumpets, but get some fucking tea and crumpets and maybe a scone or two. And, I mean, crumpets, they're basically English muffins. Don't freak out. So,
are they? Oh, yeah.
I mean, kinda, but not, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had one, but they're not English muffins. Let me put it that way.
Yep.
They're similar enough. Yeah. Yeah, the only other thing I will say is that I love seeing, and I know this is not the first by any means, but I love seeing a teen detective, and I love like a teen girl detective, and I love that it's a female protagonist, because we get so many murder mysteries that are not, except of course for the not Poirot, but the other. Oh my God, what is wrong with me tonight? The other Agatha Christie, Ms. Marple.
Right.
But we haven't gotten those movies. I know BBC and PBS has their show. PBS has their show of it, but we haven't gotten movies of those. So anyway, love to see the girl representation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a quick recap. Both of these films are on Netflix right now. So would we recommend The Good Nurse?
For performances, if you want to see some good performances, I would say yeah. And also if you're like on the line about Eddie Redmayne, you're like, ew, he's creepy. But and he is, but he's very good in this part. So
agreed.
Yeah, I think it's a recommendation. It's not a super strong recommendation, but I think it's definitely a recommendation. I think it's worth watching.
I agree. I'm kind of like a soft recommendation. Like, don't necessarily rush to watch it, but at the same time, yeah, the performances are really good.
Yeah. I should also mention that there are a couple of upsetting moments of patient death that are
great point.
So if that's not your if it's not your thing to watch that, then maybe don't. But otherwise.
No, thank you for that, Dave. That's a really, really important point. And Enola Holmes too. I think it's safe to say we would all recommend it with tea and crumpets and blankets.
Yes, but no cucumber sandwiches, goddammit. So
why? What's wrong with cucumber sandwiches?
Cucumber, no, thank you, no.
I'll eat all the cucumber sandwiches then.
I mean, you want to put it in some brine, fucking rock and roll. But
pickles are I mean, pickles are superior, but yes.
But cucumber on its own, why do I want to eat something that tastes like grass that is also fucking mush? I don't know. I don't want to do it.
What cucumbers are you eating that are mush? Ew.
It tastes like grass. I don't feel
That's
like
the closest thing
like
I could think of to what they taste. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, they taste like elderberries, which I don't even know what elderberries taste like. But
they're very tasty.
Okay. I'm just saying all I'm saying is I don't like cucumbers. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Noted. I will not put out cucumbers when Dave comes over.
No cucumber sandwiches for Dave. Or no cucumbers in the crudité either.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Only cucumbers in their ultimate evolved form, pickles. So
that's
right. Yeah. Pickles are
and
the best.
dill, bread and butter, whatever you got, I'm down. So
how do you feel about pickle juice?
I'm not going to drink a jar of pickle juice, but
sidebar, I have 3 jars of pickle juice in my fridge right now. And I always have a stash.
You never know when you're going to get a hankering for some pickle juice.
That's right.
When you need to do pickle shots, yeah.
I always need my pickle juice at the ready.
Oh my God. Well, this is just... we've never talked about pickles this way on Spoiler Piece Theater. This is the first, everybody.
No. Yeah, we haven't gone there.
Pickle Piece Theater. Well, on that note, Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to our amazing editor, Otto Clammer. Otto, thank you for making us sound wonderful week in and week out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. We are all over the place. You can also find us at our website, spoilerpiece.com. You can find us on social media. We're at Spoiler Piece Theater. Actually, we're just at Spoiler Piece on Facebook, Twitter for now, Instagram, Letterboxd, and TikTok. You can send us your thoughts on these movies. Ask us questions. You can email us at spoilerpiece@gmail.com, or you can give us a call
at 862-21-PEACE.
Leave us a voicemail message, text us, all of the things. We want to know, what did you think of Enola Holmes 2? And what did you think of The Good Nurse? If you like Spoiler Piece, please consider rating and reviewing us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to your preferred platform of choice. You can also rate us directly on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a lot, as well as Spotify. And if you really, really like the show, consider joining our Patreon. As I said at the top of the show, for $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes. You also get to vote in monthly polls. This week's bonus episode is on the Noir poll winner, which is Jane Campion's In the Cut, starring Meg Ryan and Mark Ruffalo. We had a great conversation. So if you're a patron, go check it out. And if you're not a patron, consider joining. My name is Megan Kearns. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a member of BOFCA, Boston Online Film Critics Association, and Gallica. You can follow me on Twitter. Again, for now, who knows what's happening, at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
My name is Dave Riedel. I write and I talk about movies. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. You can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Dave Sees Movies, and Twitter for now, but Twitter's getting fucking weird. So, who knows?
Yeah, it is. And my name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, and happy Thanksgiving if you are celebrating.
Oh, yeah, that.